Hi, it's Crazy Monkey here, and this is another blog update, and this one's important, so I hope as many people watch this as possible. It's probably going to take about 10 minutes for me to explain this. I'll try to go quicker. I want to talk about Trump, and I'm going to start from the beginning, all right? It's March 24th, 2018, and I'll start from the beginning. Trump started to run his campaign, what was it, about 3 years ago now? Probably about 3 years ago. And I remember, watching it on TV, watching it on the internet. And, I agreed with a lot of what he said. But the honest truth is, when he was, running his campaign, I thought, he was being a little too harsh on immigrants. He was being a little too right-wing on immigrants. I was more in the middle myself, more moderate. And, I was worried he'd be too authoritarian and he would just deport like 10 million people. I was kind of worried about that because my personal opinion is like the criminals should be deported, 2-3 million that are criminals, welfare frauds, drunk drivers, they should be deported, and then we should also build a wall. But I don't think we should like just deport everybody, just deport like 10-20 million people. I don't think we should deport everybody. And there's a lot of families there. A lot of people came to the country when they were 8 years old, 10 years old. They shouldn't be deported. You got a lot of family guys, family women. They shouldn't be deported. You shouldn't be breaking up families. You shouldn't be deporting people that came here when they were 5 years old. So, I support deporting the criminals. I support building the wall. But I do not support just massive, deport everybody. I don't support that. So I'm kind of like in the middle, a moderate on that issue. And I thought he was too right-wing on that issue, all right? And, but then he did propose a tax cut where you can make up to $50,000 as a family of 2 or more. You can make up to $50,000, you pay 0 tax. That was in his campaign when he was running. And then he changed it, where he then, after he got the nomination, and he got the other Republicans basically out of the nomination, and he was #1, and he was going to be the pick. He then changed it where instead of the first $50,000 tax-free income for a family, he lowered it to $30,000. So when he did that, I knew right then we were in trouble. I knew right then he's not going to do the things he says he's going to do. In my opinion, of course. But I knew right then we were in trouble. So I kind of was upset about that. And when I went to the poll, I actually did not vote for Trump. I actually voted for Gary Johnson instead. I did actually vote for Gary Johnson, and I'm very happy to say that now. I'm very happy to say I voted for Gary Johnson now. He was a libertarian candidate. Libertarian candidate, best way to describe him was he was liberal on social issues, and he was conservative on economic issues. Probably more conservative than Trump on economic issues, but more liberal on social issues. So I voted for Gary Johnson, the libertarian candidate. That's who I voted for. And, I wanted Trump to win because I knew Gary Johnson wasn't going to win. I knew he wouldn't get 50% of the vote. So I wanted Trump to win. And then on the election, Trump won, and I was very happy. I was very happy he won. But I was worried a little bit that he'd be too right-wing, too extreme. But I was happy he won because I figured at least now we're going to get our wall, we're going to get the wall built, and at least now he'll deport the criminal illegals. I figured he would do those 2 things. I mean, based on his entire campaign, I figured those 2 things will happen for sure. And I support both of those. I support deporting the criminals. I just said that before, deporting the criminal illegals and building the wall. I support both those things. So I figured we'd get both those things, and I figured that would be good, because that's what I supported anyway, so I'd be happy with that. And now, we realize now in 2018, March 24th, 2018, we're not going to get nothing. We are not going to get nothing. Did we get a tax cut? No, because he lowered it from $30,000 to $24,000. So a family of 2, you could deduct $24,000. Well, you used to be able to deduct $20,000 in deductions. Now it's $24,000. That's nothing. That's a few $100 lousy dollars. He went from like saying you would be able to deduct 50,000, meaning no tax on 50, all the way down to 24, but it already was 20. It already was no tax on 20, so he just raised it to no tax on 24. Very tiny tax cut. Very tiny tax cut for the middle class making 50 grand a year. Very, very little. It's a few $100s. The rich elites got billions, and we people got a few $100s. It was a very lousy, bad deal. And now it's become clear what the Trump was all about. Giving tax cuts to the billionaires, giving tax cuts to the big, huge mega corporations. We middle class people got virtually nothing, just a few hundred lousy dollars. We got virtually nothing. Now the country's running massive deficits. We're in massive deficits that will eventually bankrupt the country, that will eventually cause taxes to go way up, which means middle class people like us will have to pay those taxes. So it's disastrous, it's totally disastrous. And then we don't even get a law. And then he's not even deporting the criminals. You know, the amount of people he's deported is very tiny. It's very, very tiny. I was reading somewhere on the internet, it's like, I don't even think it's a few 100,000, or maybe it's like a few 100,000. But again, the criminals, the welfare frauds, the drunk drivers, that alone's like 2 or 3 million. So he hasn't even deported like maybe 10% of the criminals and the drunk drivers and the welfare frauds. He hasn't even deported 10% of them. All right, so it's a total failure. It's a total complete failure. And now he does that omnibus spending bill for 1.3 trillion. That Democrat written, I mean the Democrats pretty much did that. 39 Democrats, I believe, voted yes. I think the Republican votes was less than the Democrat votes, meaning that the thing passed with more Democrat senators. There were more Democrat senators that voted yes than there were Republican senators that voted yes. All right? And then Trump signed it. So it was basically the Democrats that did that, and then Trump signed it. And there's no law. There's no law. There's nothing for us conservatives. There's nothing. It's disgusting. It's a disaster. And you know, I'm totally. I will not. I repeat, I will not be voting in 2018 unless it's a libertarian candidate. And in 2020, I will not vote for Trump. I will vote for somebody else. I would definitely not vote for him. There's no way in hell I will vote for Trump in 2020. I mean, it is just utterly disgusting. I'm just totally disgusted. Because again, I was like somewhat of a moderate, and now Trump's turned out to do not even the moderate things. He's basically a Democrat. He's basically a Democrat that gives tax cuts to billionaires. You know, and that's my opinion. Trump is a Democrat that gives tax cuts to billionaires, which in many ways, that's like the worst it gets. That's the worst it gets if you really think about it. So I just want to say that real quick. And then another thing I want to say real quick is in 2020, I think Rand Paul should run for president in 2020. And I think he should get like a vice presidential pick of like maybe Dr. Michael Savage of the Savage Nation. Maybe that should be his vice presidential pick. Or maybe he should get somebody like Sarah Palin as his vice presidential pick. You know, but Rand Paul needs to run for president in 2020. That's my opinion. Just want to say that real quick. Thank you. All right, we got another few seconds. I just want to go a few more seconds. You know, I just want to say real quick, if Rand Paul did run, or like Michael Savage did run, you know, they would obviously have to moderate a little bit because they're probably a little bit too conservative. They would have to moderate a little bit. But I think both of those men are like real men, real alpha males that would do what they say. So if they moderated a little bit, you know, I think they would be our best chance to actually do what they say, because Trump's done pretty much the opposite of what he said when you really think about it. So I think that, you know, we need to get somebody that we can really trust, and I think those two men would be much more trustworthy. And they would have to moderate a little bit. I mean, obviously, they're too strict on a lot of social issues. So they have to moderate on some of the social issues. But in general, I think those would be, you know, the people that should run. Or maybe Gary Johnson, but I don't know how he'd get elected, you know. But Trump's got to go. We got to vote somebody else in 2020, because it's a disaster. It's a disaster. And the worst part is that now the left is like massively mobilized. You look at these gun control rallies that they're doing all over the country today. The socialists and the leftists and the Democrats, they are massively mobilized, and it's scary as hell, because now the Democrat Party, they're going so far to the left, they're just turning total socialist.
And now it's like, you got these ideas that used to be like socialist wacko ideas, now like mainstream, like, we're not gonna have border patrol, we're just gonna let people just cross the border freely. You know, you get these like, just way out wacko ideas, like, you know, other people saying, we want free childcare, where a woman can just drop her 2-year-old off, drop her 4-year-old off, and it's totally free, paid for by taxpayer money, big government. I mean, it's like now the Democrat Party is just a militant socialist party. And the only people that are gonna benefit at the end are these filthy rich elite billionaire CEO corporate types. They're the ones that are gonna get all the money, and then we in the bottom are just gonna get poor and poor and poor, and the middle class is gonna get gutted. That's what it's gonna be. It's gonna be socialism, and we're gonna turn into Venezuela. And I just wanna say that real quick.